This is a bodyweight strength and endurance workout for your luteal phase. I'm coming to you from mid-luteal phase, so I'm still feeling the effects of high-hormone physiology where it's a little bit harder to find the quick energy, that instant dose for high intensity. But what I did find through this workout is even though it started slow, I'll admit it was a little bit sneaky. It built and the volume accumulated to create that steady heat, that steady effort that is so enjoyable, that is so supportive during the luteal phase. So I hope that you find that too with this bodyweight workout that is designed for beginners. So the movement patterns are simple, but we're adding a little bit of a twist in the loading pattern. So we're using an elevated surface today. Make sure you have either a yoga block like the one I'm using. I have a cork block. It's very sturdy. I can put all of my weight on it. Or maybe you're using the bottom stair of your staircase. Maybe you have a very sturdy stool. Just make sure it's not going to move around on you and that you can bear all of your weight onto that elevated surface. In today's workout, we have 7 exercises that we're completing in intervals of 50 seconds of work and then 30 seconds of rest. The working interval is long, but it's slow and steady. So we're building that volume, that high volume in the longer interval. And then we have what is kind of a longer period of rest. So 30 seconds should give you enough time to kind of come back to your baseline. We're not going all the way up, and so we won't need to come all the way down. We've got those 7 exercises with that interval structure. We're completing it in 3 rounds for a total of 28 minutes. And this one, like I said, it builds. It's one of those that helps you uncover your energetic body beneath the surface. A lot of times in luteal phase, you might be feeling heavy or a little bit stuck. And this one, with that slow body weight rhythm, it helps you uncover that. It helps you kind of reveal what's going on under the surface so that you can leave your practice feeling more energized, feeling more elevated than when you started. So grab your elevated surface, grab a towel and some water, and let's get started with this workout. We are going to get started right away with today's workout. Just make sure that you have your elevated surface ready to go. I'm using a yoga block for today. You can also use the bottom stair of a staircase, a small stool. Just make sure it's not too high. So today we're working with a very short elevated surface, something between 6 and 12 inches. You can use a stool or a book, something that can bear weight. Just make sure it's very sturdy and that it's not going to move around on you. I'll get our timer started. We have 50-second intervals with 30 seconds of rest, and we're starting with our decline push-up. So you can take your toes up onto your elevated surface, hands a bit wider than shoulder width. You can always bring the knees down if you need to. Just make sure that your hips are nice and low as well, that you're not in tabletop, but you're low down. Let's begin. Push-up. Lower down and press up. Squeeze the thumbs toward each other as you press up to activate the muscles in the chest. Keep the body in one straight line. Lowering down and pressing up. So with that slight elevated surface, we're getting more range of motion and we're slightly changing the loading for our push-up. So a bit more work in the chest. Take it nice and slow and press up. As you need to, you can always lower one or both knees. You still have that extra range of motion there with the elevated surface. Last 3, 2, and 1. We are resting for 30 seconds, and then we're coming into our front heel elevated lunge with a lat pull down. So I'm going to be starting with my right leg. We're going to take that foot onto the elevated surface, your stair, your stool. Then we'll come into our lunge position here. You want to have a nice short and strong stance so that your body can move straight up and down into that lunge. We're moving 90-90 in the knees, starting with the arms overhead, and then we'll pull down. Let's begin. Up, pull down. Squeeze the elbows behind you. Nice and slow. We're in that luteal phase rhythm where your heart can be elevated, but we're not looking to push into our max effort zone. We have elevated hormones in this phase. It's our high hormone phase with both progesterone and estrogen elevated, which can put us into a bit of a breakdown state. So progesterone's job is to break things down and shuttle it to the lining of the uterus. So it's a reproductive mission that can sometimes leave us in that breakdown mode. 3, 2, 1. 30 seconds rest. All that means for us is we have to dial it back. We can focus more on endurance, on activating those longer stores of energy, but maybe not the high intensity that you might have enjoyed in the first half of the cycle. We're coming now into our lunge on the second side. This time we'll be adding a static T curl. So I might show this from the front so you can see. Coming in 3, 2, 1. We're going out, curling in. So feel a bit of muscle activation in the arms as you come out and in. So we have triceps as you extend, biceps as you squeeze. And at the same time, that heel elevated lunge, adding a bit of balance challenge, changing the loading pattern in your lunge just enough to feel it in a different way. So with these body weight patterns, a lot of times we'll do that. We'll change the loading pattern. We'll change the arrangement so that we can target the muscles using body weight only and be effective. Breathing here, making that commitment to deep breath, mapping the movement onto the rhythm of your breath, and rest. You can set your surface off to the side, or if you're by the stairs, you can scoot away. Coming into our bear crawl next. So we'll be here, the shoulders over the wrists, hips are over the knees. We're hovering the knees. We'll simply cross to the opposite shoulder and extend out. You can have straight arm or swimmer cactus shape. So tapping opposite shoulder, extending out. So we're activating the upper back here. Here we go. Cross, extend, and back down. Keep the hips and shoulders level the entire time. So that will require a lot of core activation, core stability, because your hips will want to pop up to accommodate the movement in the arm. But instead, use that action of low ribs and hip points joining together to stabilize. Make sure you have kind of a micro bend in the elbow. I notice I have a bit of hypermobility in the elbows, so they tend to turn out. It takes a lot of focus to stabilize and activate the upper arm to support that joint. And out. Here we go. Last one. Coming out, 30 seconds rest. Grab your elevated surface once again. This time we're coming into uneven step outs. So you'll have one. I'm starting with my left foot up on the block. You want your hips to stay level at the top, so avoid tilting the pelvis. We're stepping out into a squat, driving through that lifted leg to lift up and balance. So it looks like this. We'll go in 2, 1. Here we go. Squat down, get nice and low. Drive through that heel to press up and balance. So find the level hips at the top. So we're wanting to really engage the glutes and the hips to level and create balance in both sides of the waist. So you'll notice if your hips tend to tilt, there's an opportunity to build postural strength there, to work out some muscle imbalances within the pelvis and the hips. So stepping out, lifting up. Breathing in on the way down, exhale on the exertion. Last 3, 2, and 1. Come out. We'll switch sides. So taking the other foot onto your elevated surface. Again, you can be on that bottom stair. If you want a bit more challenge, you can you can go higher to a second stair. We'll go in 15 seconds. So again, your starting position is with level hips. Notice if your pelvis wants to drop down. It takes some effort, some activation to level the pelvis. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Step it out, drive up, step it out, squeeze the thighs together as you lift. Get some inner thigh work here with that elevated surface. So making use of our body weight in a different way. These are workouts in our beginner series. So simple movements where we might just add a slight twist so that you can get a different experience and a different loading pattern. So you can keep your body growing, progressing, moving into kind of new layers of strength, balance, and stability. Here we go. We've got 5 more seconds. 2 and 1. You can set your block off to the side. Our next movement is a bird dog. So here, a couple of options. You can be on the knees from tabletop, lifting opposite arm and opposite leg. Again, the goal is to keep shoulders and hips square. You can also take this from a plank position. This will require more strength to stabilize as you reach opposite leg and opposite arm. Let's begin now. Here we go. Reach, extend fingers and toes away from each other. Notice where your hips want to pop up. How can you engage? How can you create that action between low ribs and hip points to stabilize? You might even feel a bit of trembling in the belly as you activate to support this asymmetric pattern. We're connecting left and right sides of the brain, which in this phase of the cycle can be useful to give the mind a place to focus on. A lot of times with high hormones, and particularly the drop in hormone levels before your period arrives, you might experience that as brain fog and rest. So here, we're giving the mind a task to focus on. It requires a lot of that awareness, because as soon as you start to think of something else, your balance will waver. So stay in it. That's our first round. We have 2 more rounds just like that. So you start to feel a little bit of the heat going into our decline push-up in about 10 seconds. The luteal phase, it takes us a little more longer to sweat. We have to get hotter before we break a sweat. So just notice that in your body here. Let's begin. And if you need to dial it back, maybe take a sip of water. Really treat yourself throughout the workout to whatever you need. You'll notice when it gets hard, I stop talking and the breath takes over. So can you be in it? Can you be in the work? Feeling the effort against your body weight. Up and lowering down. Maybe bringing a knee down if you need it. Last one. And rest. Shake it out. Shake out those wrists. We're coming into our front heel elevated lunge with the lat pull down. So you can set your block up. We'll get ready with one foot up. Again, you're in kind of that short, strong stance. So not a super wide lunge here. Reaching the arms overhead. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull down, squeeze the elbows behind you. Keep the low ribs and hip points joined together, but then lift up through the heart as you squeeze elbows behind you. So we're getting some expansion across the chest, but we're not flaring the low ribs. Can you move crown to tail, up and down in that vertical plane? Straight up and down. Stay focused. Notice how this distribution of weight changes the sensation. You might feel it more in your back leg. Drive through the front heel. That back knee just hovering above the ground as you come down. Last 5, 3, 2, and 1. Coming into the second side now. with that static T curl. So it takes some effort to hold the arms in that T shape. And then we're adding a bicep squeeze, a tricep squeeze. Feel those antagonist muscles working each phase of the movement. Stepping out, we'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. We squeeze it in and out. You can make a fist if that helps you engage the muscles, or keep the hands relaxed and flat. Lower down, lift up. So total body in motion here. Requires a little bit of balance, coordination. I love elevating either the front or back foot in these lunges to help address those postural imbalances. So one side, your strong side, can't take over when you have the split level. So both sides have to put in the work. Lower down, lift up, squeeze, contract and squeeze. Hug it in and out. Last one. And rest. 30 seconds here. Shake it off, towel off if you need to. So in the luteal phase, we have a bit longer rest period in between. So that 30 seconds should be enough to let you come right back down to your baseline. Moving into our bear crawl stance once again. Those shoulder taps with a reverse fly. So engaging the back there. 2, 1. Bear crawl, cross tap, extend. Cross to the opposite shoulder, extend out. Cross, extend. Again, hips and shoulders are stationary. They're square to the ground. That's where the work is keeping that stable place from which you can extend the arm out. And then adding that bit of awareness of contraction right behind the shoulder blades. Notice if your hips tend to want to pop up as it gets hard. Can you keep them in the same plane, the same height the entire time? And rest. Come out. You might even feel your quads start to talk to you during that one. Grab your elevated surface once again. You might start with your non-dominant leg here. For me, that's my left side. And level out the hips at the top. So you want to use the muscles to lift that leg up to the same height. So we're just stepping out and pressing up in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Out to the side, press through the heel to lift. So depending on the length of your foot, you might have a bit of your toes hanging off. The goal here is that you're driving through the heel. So just make sure your heel is pressing firmly down into that elevated surface. That's where a stair can come in handy. It's nice and long. You have lots of room. Squat nice and deep, low to the ground, and then back up. And as you can, if you can, try not to press with that lower leg to lift up. Instead, drive through the heel on your elevated surface to lift the leg up with you. And then squeeze the inner thighs together and rest. Second side now, switching. You might shake it out, towel off. I like to do a bit of spinal rotation, especially after some of the core work and bear crawl, just to loosen up the spine. And then we'll get our second foot ready here. We're nearing the end of our second round. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step it out, lift up, squeeze the inner thighs together. Feel that extra bit of effort at the top of the movement by hugging the legs to the midline. Here we go. Out and squeeze. Out and together. You can have your hands wherever they need to be for balance here. Maybe you have them out to the side, out in front of you, at your heart, wherever they feel most natural. This one we're focusing primarily on the legs. So again, lightweight in that lower foot driving through the heel of your elevated foot. Last 5 seconds here. And rest. Set your block off to the side, coming into bird dog next. As you are ready, lowering into your plank position. Again, you can always take this one from tabletop, really just focusing on the core engagement. If you want to add that extra bit of stability and balance, you'll come into full plank. Shoulders are over the wrists, low ribs and hip points join together. Step into your plank and let's begin. Lift it out, stretch in opposite directions and back down. Really reach, level the shoulders and hips and reach. Again, lower down and stretch. You got this. These are such a powerful exercise. So simple, but really so much happening for you, so many benefits to come from a single exercise. You have your core work, you have your balance. It's good for your brain, for your cognition. Keep going. Really find that intentional reach in opposite directions, growing the body longer. Finding power in the slowness, in the steadiness, and rest. Bringing your elevated surface back up once again. We are entering our final round in just about 20 seconds here. We'll start with our decline push-up and work through till the very end. So in about 15 seconds, we'll be starting in our plank position. Again, you can always be on the knees if you need to. I might be taking that option towards the end. And let's begin. Press down. Squeeze the thumbs together at the top. Press down. Even add that little gentle curl of the tailbone to help low ribs and hip points join together to let the belly fire. But stretch your heart forward. Don't round in the upper back. Keep your heart and the crown of your head extending forward. We got this. This is the last round. Bring it all here. Breathe, breathe, breathe. In and out through the nose if you can. Lower to a knee if you need to. We're almost there through this interval. Stay strong, last one. And rest. Those are killer. Stretch out the chest, maybe swing your arms back and forth. Starting with our heel elevated lunge, 1 foot in front with the lat pull down. We'll go in about 10 seconds. I think my sweat temp was just hit. Can finally start to feel the beads of sweat coming now. So let's enjoy it. 2, 1. Lunge down, lift up. Lunge down, lift up. Really engage, create mind-muscle connection with the back. Squeezing the elbows behind you. Driving through the front heel. Nice, slow, and steady reps here. There need not be any rush. We're in it for just a little while longer. This is our last round, so make it count. Maybe you move slowly, more intentionally. Maybe you pick up the pace just a touch. 10 more seconds here. Breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Rest. 30 seconds here. We got this. Switching sides, coming into your lunge. I'll turn to face the front. So we have room for that static T curl. So squeezing biceps and then triceps. Here we go. We'll go in about 5 more seconds. Make sure your front foot is stable. Arms out to T. And let's begin. Lower down, squeeze and squeeze. Contract the biceps, contract the triceps. So finding that way, even with body weight only, to create the mind-muscle connection, to create the contraction that you're looking for. Create that muscle memory in this unloaded state so that maybe in your next menstrual phase, your next follicular phase, maybe you add weight to this exercise. And your body has that blueprint of movement, of action that it can draw upon. So it's ready to do it in a safe and effective way. This is kind of high rep volume. So it's a 50-second interval. 3, 2, 1. So we're working into that more of the endurance energy level. Set your block off to the side. So you're getting into that optimal range during the luteal phase. Not max effort, not that quick spark of energy for high intensity, but it's more endurance. It's that slow, steady work. Come down into your bear crawl. We're getting ready to go in 3, 2, and 1. Lift up. Cross, tap the shoulder, extend out, squeeze. Cross and squeeze. Imagine you had a ball or a block. If you have a block, you can even put one between the inner knees to help square the hips, to help keep the torso nice and stable. Cross and reach. Cross and reach. You got this. This is our last round. Make it strong. What do you need to bring for the last 6 or so minutes of this workout? We're here for 10 more seconds. You got it. Feel the back muscles firing. Feel the quads talking to you, and rest. Grab your block once again, coming into the step downs. So 1 foot elevated, draw the hips up and in. So feel the inner thighs hug to the midline to level the pelvis. You can feel your hip bones, make sure they're at the same height. We'll go in about 10 more seconds, stepping out, pressing through that heel to drive up. And 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. So I love the body weight work. It can be a bit sneaky. It sneaks up on you before you know it. And you're sweating. You're feeling your body work squeeze together. So I love lifting heavy in the early days of the cycle, but in luteal phase, I love the kind of the skill work, the sharpening the saw, so to speak, where you're getting the movements into your body. You're working on mechanics. You're paying attention to the little nuances that maybe you don't have bandwidth for when you're lifting a heavy load. So here, can you tune into those little details to carry them with you into your next workout, into your day, rest? Whether it's how you pick up a load in your home, or maybe a loved one, a pet or a child. You're more mindful when you have this type of work in your muscle memory. We'll go in 15 seconds with the other side. Quick bird dog, and we are out of here. Let's go in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips are level. We step out and together. Out and together. You got this. Out and in. Squeeze the thighs into each other. Here we go. Feel that activation at the top of the movement. So there's never that rest period where we take the load away, but the muscles are working through all phases of this movement pattern. Breathe. Can you steady your breath? We're coming in that home stretch. So can you let this be a bit of your cool down as well if you need it? This workout is standalone. So you can use this as your cooling round or jump into the cool down linked in the description and rest. Setting that off to the side, our final movement, final interval of this workout. We'll be coming down into plank for that bird dog extension. Going in 15 seconds. Take a deep breath. Again, tabletop always an option, and this one you're in true tabletop. You don't need to extend the hips forward. 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. Reach and hold. Come down. Reach, squeeze hip points and low ribs together. Come down. So this intentional, focused core work taps into the deep layers of your abdominal wall to support your spine, to support your hips, and even to support your breath. So when you can expand the abdominal wall and contract it, your breath can move more deeply into the lungs. So you can only contract in the belly as far as you can expand. So give yourself more room. Deepen the breath. Last 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out. Excellent, excellent work. That is our workout for today. You might give a little twist. Just letting a bit of that effort flush out so that you can come back to your baseline. Come through center, a few deep breaths, so lower down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Reach up and exhale down. That is our workout for today. No cool down, as I mentioned, but there is a link to a cool down in the description of this video so that you can treat yourself to about 9 minutes of some gentle cooling stretches to send you on your way. Thank you so much for joining me today for this body weight workout and for letting your body be moved.